This video will demonstrate how tough it was to rush for yardage in the 1969 AFL season. Only one rusher ran for more than 750 yards. This is why it was so tough. The play was so rough that running backs struggled to stay healthy enough to play in most of the regular season games in order to give them a decent chance of rushing for 1,000 yards. Extremely poor playing conditions didn't help matters either. Yeah, a running back probably isn't going to bust a long run in that slop. Lloyd Little was fifth in rushing with only 729 yards, but his 5.0 yards per carry led the AFL. He was the sixth overall draft pick in the 1967 NFL/AFL draft, the first combined draft between the leagues. He made first-team All-Pro despite only playing in 9 games and made the second of 4 consecutive Pro Bowl teams in 1969. He's the only Hall of Famer on this list, and he was the main drawing card for Denver in the late 1960s through the early 1970s. Little suffered a painful shoulder injury on this play in Week 2, and that caused him to miss the following game. He also suffered a badly sprained ankle in Week 8, and that caused him to miss the next 4 games. Little was nicknamed the franchise for good reason. He was the man that fans sat in shivering weather to watch. Heisman Trophy winner Mike Garrett out of USC ranked 4th in rushing in 1969. This was no fluke, as he was 3rd in 1967 with 1,087 yards and tied for 2nd in 1966 with 801 yards. He was a bit smaller than Lloyd Little at 5'9", 190 pounds, but he ran with a similar style. Will Granger was drafted in 1966 out of Mississippi State. At 6'1", 225 pounds, he was a battering runner who finished third in the league with only 740 yards. The Houston Astrodome's unforgiving playing surface, combined with a lot of carries, 624 from 1967 through 1969, caused his production to plummet, as he only rushed 125 times from 1970 through 1972, his retirement. In 1969, nobody ran the ball 200 times in the AFL. Heck, it was a tough thing to do back then. Hall of Fame Larry Zonko only did it 3 times in his 12-year professional career. Zonko's running back mate at Syracuse was Lloyd Little, and the second-rated rusher in the AFL during the 1969 season also attended Syracuse, the Patriots' Jim Nance. Jim Nance was 6'1" and weighed anywhere between 235 and 260 pounds. His 193 carries led the AFL for the third time in his career. Nance was a monster. He led the league in rushing in 1966 with an AFL record 1,458 yards and won the AFL Player of the Year award. He had 657 more rushing yards than the second-place finisher. In 1967, he led the league again in rushing with 1,216 yards. Number 1 in 1969 is Little Dicky Post. He dropped to the 4th round of the 1967 draft due to his 5'9", 190-pound frame. In 1967, he was the AFL Offensive Rookie of the Year when he made the All-Star game. His 1969 production also propelled him to that year's All-Star game. Another reason for the low individual rushing totals was the proliferation of split backfields. For example, Jim Nance and Carl Garrett shouldered the load together in Boston when Nance rushed for 750 yards and Garrett 691 yards. In Kansas City, Mike Garrett, no relation to Carl Garrett, ran for 732 yards while Robert Tank Holmes rushed for 612 yards. The Jets' Matt Snell finished 7th in rushing with 695 yards, while backfield mate Emerson Boozer's 604 yards placed him 10th in the AFL. Those are very tight yardage groupings. Post's rushing total was not only the lowest for a league leader in the 10-year AFL history, but it was the lowest since 1950, when Marion Motley led the NFL with only 810 rushing yards. But that was during a 12-game regular season. Post did it in a 14-game season.